Yeah, well, I think they did have some impact because of the cold temperatures. The combination of having the cold temperatures on a few days and the transportation problems that they had during the games, did result in people having frostbite, waiting in lines for hours to get a bus to go to the venue or come back from the venue back to their hotels or homes, cars. So that was one impact, and just the combination of cold temperatures and transportation problems resulted in frostbite and people having to go to getting treated or even going to the hospital. So that's a prime example, and that's why one of the forecast products the unit generated was for spectators and for transportation. So if people were coming in from Canada, from New York City, from Albany, from wherever, that they would know what kind of weather conditions to expect en route, and then for the spectators to make sure they are aware of what the weather would be expected at the venues and to wear the appropriate clothing for it. And I personally observed when I went to take the observation at the men's slalom, people were climbing up the hills to watch the slalom in just simple clothes and not very warm, and the shoes were sneakers and high heel shoes, and they didn't risking their falling or having frostbite. Mm-hmm. So you try to do the best on telling them what the forecast conditions, what the conditions would be in the forecast, so they would take the appropriate measures to dress warmly and have the right kind of shoes. So I guess you have spectators, you have the transportation, and then for the athletes and the venue
event organizers.
Yeah, organizers, they have to worry about the effect on the weather conditions on the competition, and whether you're going to have cloudy skies and then light snow later on during the competition, how that would affect speed skating, for example. Is that going to result in slower times for the competitors at the end? The same thing for the ski jump, the wind speed, the wind direction. It's critical for how they determine the competition when they will hold or a person jumping, because both for the safety as well as having an advantage over somebody else if they have a certain wind direction and speed. And so that's why the forecasters in the unit had venue-specific weather forecast issued every day, because those organizers at the venues wanted to have information about the winds and the temperature and moisture, because also it affects back then on what kind of wax to use for cross-country and biathlon. They want to know the effects of that and how the temperatures would change during the day, because you might have to change the wax to do that. Just to have people realize that the importance of the weather to the operation of the games, and I think people don't realize the people behind the scenes, and I think that's not just from the weather support unit, but I think another thing I learned from attending this games in '80 and then the other Olympics in the following years is the amount of behind the scenes work that goes on that we don't really appreciate by just watching it on TV. And I think that was eye-opening to me, that there's so many people involved, and people not just involved at the site of the games, but all the support people back, could be miles or countries away, that make that a successful Olympics. So I think I wish that people would be aware of that. A lot of people are really dedicated to doing that, and so I think that's I hope people will have appreciation by this exhibit that kind of shows the behind the scenes of one small component, but a very important component of our Winter Games.